Can you tell me the history of pickleball? If you have any idea of where it came from, like how did it reach India?
In 2019, right, end of 2019, as we all know, जब COVID आया, right, उसमें क्या हुआ, because everything outdoor or everything indoor was being shut. Bombay and Jaipur were the most prominent pickleball cities
Before
in
Delhi?
India before Delhi, right? And Jaipur at one point used to be the biggest one because that was the hub of pickleball.
कोई
in
सोच
India.
भी नहीं सकता है.
कोई सोच भी नहीं सकता. The reason people are getting into it because is of the cost,
Yeah.
right? So you see people की थोड़ा land है, वहाँ पे courts लगा दो. If you think about it, right now an average rate for an hour is 800 rupees.
Yeah.
Right? In our facility where we play, if you are booking on a platform,
1200.
you are booking for 1200.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, मैं अगर मेरे पास कम्युनिटी है और अगर मेरी बुकिंग्स जा रही है 100% पे भी नहीं, पर मैं कहता हूँ 90% कैपेसिटी पर मैं ऑपरेट कर रहा हूँ, मैं कितना पैसा एक्चुअली बना सकता हूँ?
6,000 rupees a day per court.
6,000 rupees a day per court, and we are talking about four courts. So per day 10 दिन में 60,000 रुपए हो गए, 1,20,000 रुपए हो गए. In terms of money, do you think there is more money to be made through courts or actually through equipment?
As a business, I am not very inclined in the equipment part. I'll tell you why is because, like you said, everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
And you know that this is what happened in the US as well. Or not, when US, I say US because that's where the sport is the most prominent today, right?
Like Arman Bhatia, where he's playing, or even at a high level, like Ben Johns and all these guys, Tyson McGuffin and all the kind of tournaments these guys are playing. What are like the grand slams of pickleball right now, like the main tournaments, and what kind of prize money are they giving?
This is where my controversial opinion comes in. I think the prize money is really a ego battle.
Is
today.
it?
It has really become an ego battle. People are committing prize money of, it's amazing for the sport, right? It's amazing for the people that are playing the sport. But I just think that, look, if they are doing it from a perspective to create a monopoly, it doesn't make sense.
So Tanishq, it's great to have you on my podcast.
Thank you.
After a lot of playing and banter on the courts, I've finally caught you off the court talking about pickleball. सबसे पहले I want to start off by actually asking you what you are doing in the pickleball sphere in India. Where are you placed? What are you doing? So, let's start
So
off with
I
that
mean,
first.
as you know, like based out of New Delhi itself, but you know, a lot of people have asked me what I do in pickleball,
Yeah.
what the whole, you know, the geography is, what the whole scene is. But for me, it's very simple. Yeah, whatever I do it for the love of the sport. And now we're actually building something very cool, which is called KOTHARI. It's sort of the ecosystem of pickleball, right? What we were essentially building with it, that, you know, anybody, whether it's pan-India or globally, we want all the community to live on our app. We think of a tier 4 kid in India who might want to get into pickleball, and that's the accessibility that we want to provide him through KOTHARI. We think of a kid in North America or a billionaire in North America, which all the billionaires are now playing pickleball, right? Them to use KOTHARI. So KOTHARI is essentially exactly what pickleball is, right? When you think about pickleball is a sport for everybody. A 80-year-old to a 8-year-old can belong on the same court. Essentially, that's what KOTHARI is. We want people from different demographics, different age, different everything to be able to come together, engage on this app, and exactly have that community online that they have offline.
So KOTHARI is an app, but you also organize tournaments.
Correct.
So everything is part of KOTHARI?
Correct. So what essentially, see, when I talk about KOTHARI being an ecosystem, right? We are a tech first platform, but what we've divided is, and we understand about the industry is, to build that online community, you have to go over the offline community, right? So what we've done is we've taken the onus to do 100 events this year. We've done 5 events this year. We're launching a calendar of 13 events for the next 10 weeks. And then now we've been very fortunate that we've been able to build a team that's going to be doing events for us continuously for the rest of the year. So we want to reach that 100 mark by March 2026. Plus what we also want to do is, now we are getting into the certification aspect of coaches, where we're starting to train the trainer programs.
Okay.
We have started something very cool with the RD group called Surf for India, which is simply a campaign to have underprivileged kids go and experience pickleball. We've already done one with the NGO called More Than Play. Now we're doing one with an NGO called the Robin Hood Army. And now what we're also doing after that is that for the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to take this to different cities in the country, right?
Okay.
So next city for us is Jaipur. And then we have states like Gujarat, Mumbai, and all these guys coming up, where we want to partner up with local NGOs over there. So if anybody who's listening, would love for anybody to
Amazing.
collaborate with us and have that opportunity go out. So that's part of what we're doing. See, for us, pickleball is, I mean, for me personally, pickleball is everything now.
Yeah.
Right? It's my business, it's my passion, it's part of my personal life. You know, it's really everything. So that's essentially what we want to embody here, right? When I say certification, trainer program is very dear to us, because see, for any sport, the biggest thing for any sport coming up is the coach.
Definitely.
Right? It's the influence that they are going to have on the kids. It's the influence that they're going to have on the people playing. Right? So we want to make sure that those coaches are trained properly. Right? So what they're teaching the kids, the next generation, is coming the right way and is very important for us. So that's essentially what we're doing. And then of course, you know, doing community tournaments here. We're building a lot of courts. We're in the infrastructure side. We're building our own courts as well to make sure that, you know, we can provide better and better courts to the public.
So end-to-end complete ecosystem of pickleball is on Kotli.
Correct.
Oh, that's good. If you can just tell me, because see, सब pickleball खेलने लग गए. Everyone's playing pickleball. It started with being a fad. Like when I started 2 years back, I remember there were like 45 people playing on the Vasant Vihar Club courts.
Correct.
And now, even after us having 10 courts, अभी भी मारामारी होती है booking में.
Correct.
So one thing is clear, that it's just not a fad anymore.
Correct.
And everyone's getting into it. But can you tell me the history of pickleball, if you have any idea of where it came from, and what, like, how did it reach India and where it came from, especially? कि ये sport चालू कैसे हुआ? If you have any idea on that.
Correct. So I mean, the sport started a long time ago. 1958 is when I believe, you know, sport was actually created out of a very different understanding to what we have it today, right?
Okay.
It was more created, as far as I think, for somebody from a health concern point of view, where, you know, people can play and get out there.
Okay.
Right? What had happened over the last couple of years was, because pickleball was not one of the prominent sports, as tennis was, or football, or all these sports were coming up. So it was not never a sought after sport, right? But people were still playing it in different parts of the US. In India, funnily enough, the sport has been there since 2009.
What?
Right? Where there's been courts, like a random court, cement court, playing with, and you know, people are playing with wooden paddles. Right?
अच्छा.
So हाँ, वो तब से चला आ रहा है.
2009 मैं तो shocked हुए सुन के.
Correct.
अच्छा.
So, you know, the sport has been there, but what had happened was that in 2019, right, end of 2019, as we all know, जब COVID आया, right, उसमें क्या हुआ, because everything outdoor or everything indoor was being shut, right? So people, especially in the US, North America, everything was that, you know, okay, people need to do something outside, because that's the only thing we could do at that time. And so I used to run a tennis club at that time, right? I was the director of a tennis club. We had no pickleball. And I've been a tennis purist all my life. So that my owner came up to me and he's like, hey, like, we're going to take one tennis court and convert it into pickleball. And I said, no. I said, look, pickleball is a game. This is not a sport. Please don't do this to me. Like, I threw a whole fit. I was like, mere saath aisa mat karo. Right? Because I was like, ye nahi ho sakta. You know what I mean? And then, you know, I held off for as long as I could. But, you know, a couple months later, we took one court, converted into 4 pickleball courts. And long story short, that place has 54 pickleball courts now.
Man, crazy.
So, you know, like when I was there in the tennis aspect, sort of thrown to the wolves, where, you know, that because the customer is very different, right? But the customer is very good, right? When you talk about pickleball, you know, it's people like us playing, it's people all around the world playing. And pickleball is one sport, or sport in general is one thing that I feel that people from all demographics can come together and play. And what pickleball has done for, you know, people in community in general has been something great. So the whole reason this sport really picked up, coming back to the point, in 2019 was because everything got shut down, right? And sports like tennis or soccer and they were too skill based. So when pickleball came in, pickleball is a easy to enter, tough to master sport, right?
True.
So when anybody comes on the sport, there's a huge sense of belonging immediately, right? I've never played a sport before, or I've played a racket sport or any other sport. I play pickleball for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, like I can sustain myself.
Yes, true.
Right? So what had happened was all these people came in because everything was shut down, and then we had a huge frenzy, right? So people became obsessed with the sport essentially for that reason. But because of the beauty of the sport, right?
It got picked up the way it has.
It got picked up the way it has, and I mean, for everybody out there, it's not a fad anymore.
So you're saying even in the US or in like the international markets also, especially North America, the growth actually happened post 2019 only.
Correct.
The proper growth that we see.
Correct. So if you see, you know, the tours, the big tours that have come out in the US, for example, there's PPA, right, which is started by a very cool guy, Connor, and now, you know, they're doing some very, very interesting stuff. But what's happened is that, look, they've also taken the onus to build that pro career for people, right? Now you see, you have athletes that were potentially really not doing anything with their lives, right? Like they were struggling to make ends meet, and they were doing multiple jobs. Now their full-time career, because the hard work that they've put in, their full-time career is pickleball, where they are earning millions of dollars.
Now, are you talking about ex-tennis players? Or
I'm talking about ex-tennis players. I'm talking about, see, a lot of ex-tennis players also go into coaching, right? Essentially, as I did, because to go at that level is tough. So most of the people don't make it, right? That's the reality. So when, you know, people go into the coaching, of course, coaching aspect is not as big as you money you would make if you were a professional tennis player, right?
Of course.
So you're always working too much. You're always trying to make ends meet, especially if you have a family, right? When you have somebody like Tyson, right? Tyson McGuffin, who's one of the most amazing people that you'll ever come across. Plus, he's an amazing player, right? For him, if you think about his story, where he started from and what pickleball has done for him, right? Today, he is one of the most sought after athletes in general. I wouldn't even say that he is he's a pickleball player. He's an athlete now, right? People from different parts of the world want to meet him. People from different industries want to sponsor him. Partly because he's created a brand for himself, but he's worked to that level, right? And that's what the pickleball has given him, that level. You see somebody from India, like you see, I mean, news from yesterday, as a matter of fact, Arman Bhatia, the first brown kid to go and win a medal or win a gold medal in the US.
Amazing.
Right? And a kid from India, Mumbai, who went in there, worked as hard as he could and showed out. Right? So that's essentially that's what Arman was doing. I believe Arman before this was also coaching tennis in India.
Oh,
right?
Is it? How old is he?
Arman is 27, I believe.
Okay.
Right, but he and his brother and his partner Harsh and all these kids are doing so well now. We have a kid from Rajasthan, Aditya Rohela, who is, you know, he comes from a very humble background as well, and he is also trying to make sure that, you know, he makes a life out of pickleball. So that's what pickleball is doing. It's giving a life to a lot of people, right? For me, it's given me a life in a very different aspect, right? Like, it's not as athlete, but it's completely shaped my career and who I am. Like, now I get up every day and I get to do something that I love. Yeah. Right?
That
like I work in pickleball.
Yeah, that's true.
Couldn't get better than that for me. So.
But you said you played tennis and then you were coaching as well. Can I know, like, at what level have you played tennis?
So I would say at a decent level. Played national, played juniors. I played international. Okay. But the transition from a junior player to a proper men's athlete is very different. Yeah. Right, so that's where a lot of people struggle. That's where a lot of people sort of, you know, have that gap, right? Where somebody who might have done amazing in juniors doesn't mean that he's going to do amazing in seniors, like the professional adult
categories.
So that's essentially what happened, right? So for me, I got realistic at one point in my life,
which makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, like, you know, what's the next step for me? This was back in 2016 actually. I took a year off school. After I graduated from high school, I took a year off and I was like, okay, what do I do?
You were in GD Goenka?
I was in GD Goenka and Vasant Kunj. Yeah. And then I decided ki, meko karna kya actually? Like, do I want to continue playing tennis, right? Do I want to go and start my college career? Right, what is the thing here? So I took faith in myself. I gave myself a year. I did fairly decent, I think, from the level I was to the level I got. Okay. But quickly realized that it is going to take a lot more. I love the game, so I was willing to give it a lot more, but then also say I had to be realistic to myself, right? The money that was being spent, the effort that was being spent, and like what I was getting out of it.
And
right?
sorry, apparently tennis is a very like it costs a lot.
So
the coaching and all.
tennis is a very expensive sport. Like tennis, like always growing up, at least we were told it's the rich man's sport.
Yeah.
Right, because if you want the best coaching in the world, it's going to cost you, right? Like if you want the, like I'm telling you, I ran a club, right? Like I was the director of a club. So we charged people how we charge people, which is like, like, and it is an expensive sport, right? And to get to a certain level, you have to spend money in, it's not just coaching, right? It's money in traveling, money in accommodation. You go in a tournament, you're not making as much money as you. Even if I win the tournament, I'm spending more money, right? So even from a business perspective, at one point the unit of economics don't make sense, right? So that's what sort of started getting into my brain, that look, like I need to figure out what is the next chapter of my life, right? That's when I decided to go play college tennis in the US. So I did that. Was fairly lucky. I had 4 amazing years. I transferred once. I started my journey out of Tennessee, ended up in California. Both the coaches that I had were phenomenal. Taught me different things, different values. And then funnily enough, was never actually supposed to come back to the sporting world, so to speak. I mean, my whole thing was that once I graduate, I'm going to go into the corporate world, do my thing. I had once I graduated 2020, and so I had a job lined up in PwC.
Okay.
And funnily enough, looking back at it, is like it was all fate. I don't know what it was, but 4 days before I was supposed to move from California to Chicago, they told me they had a hiring freeze.
Oh shit.
So and then I was, of course, as an international student, I was scrambling, like mera visa hai, kaam ka karna hai, and all of that. So I was luckily that I played tennis all my life. So I just called up a random club up, and I was like, hey, you guys looking for a tennis coach? They were like, oh, yeah, it's summer, come on, we'll give you a contract, whatever, right? Went up to that place, probably like a 30-minute drive from where I was living at the time. Got there at 9 o'clock. It was a 9 to 5:30 gig. Ended my gig at 5:30, and at 5:35, I still remember, I went up to the owner and I was like, hey, like you guys have a beautiful setup. It was 28 beautiful tennis court in the middle of Newport Beach, and I was like, but you guys are not very efficient. And he looked at me like
on the first day itself.
First day. And he looked at me like I was crazy. This 23-year-old kid looking at him and just, talking absolute crap that his club is not working. Right? But I told him, I said, like, look, you guys have a beautiful setup, right? But from an organization perspective, I think it could have been a lot better. So I just told him, I said, look, you give me a couple of months. If I do a good job, you figure out for me to have a higher role in the company. Yeah. If not, then you keep paying me what you're paying me, which is, fair to you anyways. So luckily enough, in the next 2 to 3 months, did a fairly decent job. Tried to organize the place. That's where I also found out what my strengths were. Got more very, very equipped in the operational side of the business, which is why it's translating to KOTHARI, why we're doing our offline business, right? Because that operational experience comes in. So did all of that, and then
the courts happened.
Then the story of the pickleball courts happened, and the rest is history. The rest is history.
Okay. What about the rise of pickle? Now this is America. Like, okay, then you come back to India in 2022.
August.
Okay. And then we start seeing the rise of pickleball in India. Correct? How did that happen? When did it actually click? And सबसे पहले शुरू कहाँ पे हुआ था, if you have any idea?
Correct. So I'll tell you
properly शुरू कहाँ पे हुआ?
Correct. So I'll tell you when I came back, right? I came back 2022 August, and I put out a random message on a Facebook group. It's called Indian Pickleball Forum at that time. It had like 100 people. And I was like, let me just see what it is, right? Since I'm playing it there. Yeah. And I came back with the intention that I'm going to do something with pickleball here, right?
Oh, okay. You had that in your mind.
So by the time I was in the US, I was leaving. We tried a couple of things. I got very, very invested in the pickleball industry. So all the companies that you see now that are, the Doopers, the all the tours, the clubs, this and that are prominent in the US. I pretty much worked with these guys.
Okay.
And became the best of friends. And have a very, very good relationship with these guys. So what that did was that gave me the sort of motivation and the understanding that look, I'm starting to understand this market. I got very, very bullish on it in 2022. I thought like, look, this is where the future is.
It's here to stay.
It's here
not
to
just
stay.
a fad,
Yeah. And I think with the affinity for racket sport that India has, that Asia has, that just made me more and more confident that look, people are going to pick this sport up. Might not be today, but 2-3 years from now, which we see now, it has happened. Right. So I mean, luckily, knock on wood, I was right. But so that was the whole point.
No, so coming back to the question that where in India, not for you, I'm generally asking, like where did the whole ecosystem start? Was it Delhi? Was it Bombay? Was it Gujarat?
So Bombay and Jaipur is, from what, at least from I understand from the pickleball vets in India that I've spoken to, Bombay and Jaipur were the most prominent pickleball cities
Before
in
Delhi?
India before Delhi.
Okay.
Right, and Jaipur at one point used to be the biggest one because that was the hub of pickleball.
कोई
in
सोच भी
India.
नहीं सकता है.
कोई सोच भी नहीं सकता. So that was a hub of pickleball in India. Then Bombay, of course, grew as well. Now Gujarat is the hub of pickleball in India. Believe it or not, Gujarat has more players, some of the best players in the country coming out.
Wow.
So Gujarat has really picked us up. Bombay has really picked up in the last 3 months. Some of the best players are coming from Bombay. Delhi now is picking up. The thing with Delhi is now people are putting in more and more courts. The culture is getting there. People
I'm
are getting more
that
excited.
as well. Yeah, I want to get into that. But before that, there's one thing that I missed that I wanted to ask you. Why is it that someone like you also, or so many other players who play squash or tennis or even soccer or any other sport for that matter, the first look that they think of pickleball, like the first notion that they have is कि ये खेलेंगे क्या हम?
Correct.
Why is that?
See, I'll tell you, it's a funny question. I think different reasons for different people, but I'll tell you one of the reasons that at least I felt, or I believe that most people feel, is from the perception wise, the game looks too easy. Right? So it's almost like a hopscotch scenario where you're like a guy is not going to be like I'm not going to play hopscotch, right? Yeah. But the thing is that once you go on the court, right? Yes, it's an easy sport to pick up. So as
you said, it's easy to pick up and difficult to master.
Right? So, but that's the beauty of the sport. Okay. That it's the ease of which anybody can come on the court and belong in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, you can't get that anywhere.
There's barrier to entry is very low.
And it's a sport where you're constantly improving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but coming to the point where, why people, when they first see it, might be averse to it, is because, it doesn't look very athletic.
Yeah.
Right? It's the truth, right?
Yeah.
So if you see the recreational players play, right, it is not going to be you're not going to see it as the most athletic game.
That's the difference. When you see a recreational player play, like even in our club where we play, मतलब हमें, and अब मैं सोचता हूँ कि जब मैंने स्टार्ट करा था तो लोग मेरे बारे में भी शायद ऐसे ही बोलते होंगे कि ये तो ढंग से उठा भी नहीं पा रहा. But like when you play seriously is only when you realize कि it takes a lot from your body as well. Yeah.
Correct.
Definitely. Okay. What about the money in pickleball? Because so many people again talk to me because they know कि I have also been playing since 2 years.
Correct.
A lot of people have just started out now. तो मेरे से पूछते हैं कि भाई हमें कोट डालना है, एक तो ये कोट डाल देते हैं, यहाँ 4 कोट डाल देते हैं, यहाँ 2 कोट डाल देते हैं, मतलब so people from all kinds of backgrounds want to get into pickleball, whether it's businessmen, corporates, like anyone coaches, even coaches are opening their own pickleball courts. So you are in this industry, the economics of it, the unit economics of it, how much money is to be made or there is money not to be made, because I also know people who have put courts and are not making money.
Correct.
And there are people who have put courts and are making a lot of money. So give me your opinion of how much, like break it all down for me. Like how much does a pickleball court cost? What kind of courts are being made? The money, how much, the ROI. Like give me a whole.
So I'll start with the infrastructure bit. You know, how the infrastructure bit is that, you know, your pickleball court, first of all, the reason people are getting into pickleball, the infra business side of the pickleball is because the cost is not that high, right? As compared to other sports, right? When you talk about a pickleball court, I can put in probably the worst quality pickleball court for 2.5 to 3 lakhs.
Okay.
Right? The best quality maximum would go up to 7 lakhs.
Okay. And can you also define when you say quality?
So quality, you know, quality depends on two things. Quality depends on the base work that you are doing, right? The kind of civil work that you are going. So all the better pickleball courts are asphalt bitumen based, right? The reason for that is because, see, the Indian land is very fertile, right? So you need certain stuff that's going to hold it, that's not going to come up from the surface, right? So that's why you want a asphalt bitumen base.
Okay.
Then you have your paint quality. So paint, of course, ranges from different, right? There'll be, so I'll quick story on this is like a friend of mine didn't know I was doing pickleball, right? And he had some space. एंड उसने सोचा कि मैं एक पिकल बॉल कोर्ट बना लेता हूँ, तो उसने किसी रैंडम कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को उठा के एंड दे वर लाइक पिकल बॉल कोर्ट एंड द सिविल वर्क वाज ग्रेट, राइट? जब पेंट का टाइम आया, द गाय लिटरली पुट वॉल पेंट, पेंटेड द लाइन्स एंड लेफ्ट. व्हाट दैट डिड वाज द नेक्स्ट टाइम ही इज लाइक प्लेइंग, हिज शूज आर गेटिंग द पेंट,
अच्छा चिपक रहा है
उस पर और चिप हो रहा है, राइट? फिर थोड़े दिन बाद बारिश हो गई तो वो भी पेंट निकलना शुरू हो गया, राइट? सो ही वाज लाइक ये क्या हो गया, राइट? सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, सी, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ paint qualities out there, there's a lot of contractors out there, there's a lot of people getting into this business, right? But one thing that you have to understand is that, look, if you are getting into this business from a commercial point of view, right, the biggest thing that you have to do for like any other business is you have to make a good product, right? So you have to focus on the quality.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, so the courts that we make, right? One thing that we ensure of, that my team ensures of, is, you know, even the curing time. So even if my project is delayed by 5 days, right?
But you will give that curing time.
My curing time is going to be there, because even if I take 5 days away from my curing time and my base hasn't dried, at one point my surface is going to crack, right? But what happens is कि a lot of people get into pressure from the client कि नहीं अभी करो मेरे को खेलना है, तो अब उसमें क्या होता है, वो खराब हो जाता है, and then the client comes back to the right. So it's a you know, it's really an understanding of the business, understanding, and I've also learnt it over time, right? Like I don't come from an infra background. I also learnt it from my team. That
practical experience,
right? We made our mistakes, and now we've gotten to a point where we understand what quality works for us, what's the best price, what's the best quality that we can give to our client.
Okay, so you spoke about infra. Courts can range from 2.5-3 lakhs going up till 7 to 8 lakhs.
Correct.
Then aage.
So, and then see, I'll tell you, like I already told you, the reason people are getting into it because is of the cost, right? So you see people की थोड़ा land है, वहाँ पे courts लगा दो, unit of economics will make sense, this and that, because if you think about it, right now an average rate for an hour is 800 rupees, right? In our facility where we play, if you are booking on a platform,
1200.
You are booking for 1200, right? And that's the premium facilities. But median is around 800, right? At least in Delhi NCR. But what happens is, now it is not just the price that you can charge, right? There's a lot of things that go behind it, right? Pickleball at the end of the day is a community sport, right? If I don't have a foothold on my community, if I don't have enough traction from my community, or if I don't have enough activations or value additions that I can provide to my community is not going to come to my facility. Right? So right now in Delhi, there's over 100 facilities. 100 facilities.
Not courts, 100 facilities.
100 facilities.
My God. Right? And sorry to cut you off, these all have come up majorly in the last 1 year.
Last 1 year, mostly, I'll tell you, so I'll give you the exact numbers. Last year, Delhi had, to the end of 2024, we probably had close to 36 to 37 facilities, which is an average of 1 to 1.5 courts, really.
And now in the next 6 months, you have another whatever,
6 months.
65, 60.
We are probably at a 300 plus courts.
Oh my God.
And I can promise you that, I mean, we are doing a lot of projects, and I can promise you a lot more are coming. So what happens is, see, all these facilities are coming, but as the demand is rising, we all know, pickleball is rising like
booming.
anything, right? But what happens is, what people fail to realize is that it's really booming in tier 1 right now.
Yes.
Right? It is starting to get there in tier 2, but nobody is taking the onus for it.
Okay.
Right? The whole point is that, look, the sport is going to grow, right? But in a Delhi, for example, the rate of supply is faster than the rate of demand. I'm not saying that demand is the supply is demander. Supply is faster than the rate of demand,
Yeah.
but the rate of supply is faster than the rate of demand.
Oh, okay.
Right. So what's happening is that, like, all these facilities are coming up, right? But the facility owners don't understand that how do I get to the market, right? How do I get my people to come out here and play in my facility instead of going to a facility which is 2 kilometers away?
Yeah.
Right? Because, like I said, it's coming everywhere. They're popping everywhere. Right? But how do I make sure that we have a differentiation? Right? You have your Vasant Vihar where we play. But that is a anomaly. I'll tell you why that's an anomaly, because that was the first mover in Delhi.
Yes. So the first court in Delhi was Vasant Vihar Club, right?
Right? So once you have it, and you have your community, so even you see the kind of people that are there, but that's just a little bubble that we have with the Vasant Vihar community. There's only a certain handful of people that come from outside that region.
True.
Right? But all the other facilities that you go into, there's people from their hyper-local communities. Because that is what the sport is. It's a hyper-local sport. It's a community-based sport, right? So what happens is, now there's multiple facilities in a certain area. How do you make sure that some of those people at least come to you? Right? You have to provide some kind of added value. So that is why a lot of people are lacking. So from 100 facilities right now in Delhi, 10, maybe 12 are profitable.
Okay.
Around 40 to 50 are breaking even and maybe have recouped their money on their investment, but operationally doing okay.
Okay, yeah.
Right? 30 to 40 facilities that are making no money right now. Right?
Primarily because of the reason you spoke about.
Primarily because of that reason. Because you see, even you play pickleball every day, right? Besides Vasant Vihar, how many facilities did you know about? Right?
No, I don't remember playing anywhere else.
Correct, right? Because see, you got your community there. So
Exactly.
now you're never going to move.
You know, this is a very important point because they were planning to open courts here also. One court. मैंने कहा यार, मैं एक कोर्ट है, वहाँ पे 4 लोग आएंगे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, 6-7 लोग आ जाएंगे खेलने के लिए. जबकि मेरे घर के बिल्कुल सामने खुल रहे हैं. अभी मेरे को शांतिनिकेतन से वसंत विहार जाना पड़ता है. लेकिन यहाँ पे आप एक कोर्ट खोल भी दोगे ना, मैं यहाँ कभी जाऊँगा ही नहीं. क्योंकि मेरी कम्युनिटी तो वसंत विहार में बैठी है.
100%.
I enjoy playing with those people.
Correct.
They are my pickleball gang or whatever you can call them.
Correct.
I wouldn't want to go here where there is one court.
Correct.
It's just not fun.
Correct. Yeah, I live in Uday Park, right? To your point.
Yeah.
I have Panchil near me. 3 beautiful courts, right?
Yeah.
Now,
In the club.
Yeah. Right now, there's 2 more coming up in Holiday Club.
Okay.
Right? Then there's Shri Fort has 2 clubs.
Yeah.
Then Defense Colony has 2 facilities, one with 3 courts, one with 2 courts.
Yeah.
Lajpat Nagar has 3 courts. Right? There's more courts coming up in Southex and around me.
Yeah.
Right? But I travel almost every single day to Vasant Vihar. Whether it's 6 a.m. in the morning at times or post 7 p.m. after work. But I'm there. Right? Because my people are there.
Yeah,
that is what pickleball has done for me. It's given me my people. See, I'll tell you a very personal story here. Is when I came back, right? I was like, okay, like, because I had my whole community was in the US because I was living there for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Right? So when I came back, of course, I had an idea of what I'm going to do professionally. Right? But personally, I was like, dude, like, all my friends are now here, there, everybody is doing their own thing. Right? And I was a very introverted kid. But pickleball essentially gave me a community.
Yeah.
Now, I'm one of my best friends is your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so like I probably we talk to each other like twice a day, and all we do is maybe, excuse my French, but maybe talk a little shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Banter,
right?
Yeah.
On-court banter. But that on-court banter where it started with, now these have become some of the best of my friends.
Yeah.
Right? I met my partner for Kotli through pickleball. So Prachi, who we play with, right?
Yeah.
Her husband, Vikul. Is my partner.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that.
This all started because we were playing with Prachi, and then we were talking about it, and then Prachi connected me to Vikul, and this and that.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
Similar with Rachit and Vaibhav, and you see everybody now. This has become such a thick community for me, where it's now I don't look at anybody as my pickleball gang anymore. Like, I look at them as my
buddies, co-friends. Yeah. True. Yeah, same for me also. There's so many people that I've also met through pickleball who have now become my buddies. Correct. Not just people I play pickleball with.
Correct.
So that community point, now I get what you're saying. That a lot of people are making or putting out courts, but they're not able to build a community around it.
Correct.
Which is the only way to drive your facility. Correct.
See, because at the end of the day, like, we do a lot of events, right? Why we do events in different parts of the country is not... See, we do it from a perspective that, yes, I want to grow my brand, 100%, right? But if I do it at an X facility, and if I can't get that facility more people after I leave...
Yeah.
Then I've done something wrong. I'll give you a little example. So we did a very cool... We created an IP with called Aguada Pickleball Sundowner with the IHCL and Adi Obroy, this guy, right? Like, and before we did that event, that place probably had 10 people coming in weekly. And they have 4 beautiful courts, right?
In Goa.
The day we announced the tournament, 2 weeks before the tournament, the whole facility was full in the evenings.
Achha.
5 to 10 o'clock.
Before the tournament. And now after the tournaments, now they're having regular bookings. Oh my God.
So that is what essentially why these activations and events are very important, right? So when I talk about activations, it's not just events, it's clinics, right? So we take a pro and we're like, okay, let me teach a new community how to play pickleball. Let me do intro to pickleball clinics, right? So see, at the end of the day, our theory is very simple, yaar. The sport, see, there's a lot of people in this sport, right? But the sport is not big enough yet, right? It's getting there. But it's getting there because of the beauty of the sport, right? Yes, everybody is doing their businesses, everybody is playing their part. But, there is this slight misconception, I feel, in everybody's head, which a lot of people might hate me for saying this. But the thing is, everybody thinks they are responsible for growing the sport. My opinion is a little different. See, my opinion is that, look, the sport is growing everywhere. It is not just India. It is not just Asia. It's not just North America. It's literally every corner of the world. This sport is growing because it's such a beautiful sport. Right? Whether it requires less effort, it requires less space, it requires less capital. It's sense of belonging. It's a community sport. Right? It checks every box,
right? To make it a big successful sport.
So I was actually giving somebody an example of this yesterday. Is what I think of pickleball is I compare it to a gully cricket. Right? That I have played, you have played, every single person that I know has played gully cricket once in their life. They played at their house, at their gully, this, that, whatever.
That's true.
So, that is what I see with the sport, and the sport is going to grow. See, regardless of if we take the honors, if there's somebody else, whoever comes in, a big group comes in, tomorrow a Reliance decides to come in, right? The sport is going to grow because the sport is just that. It's a beautiful sport. It's a massy sport. It's a more participative sport in nature. So, the sport is going to grow.
Quickly, if you can just tell me, and then we're going to move on to the next topic away from economics of the sport. If I put in 6 lakh rupees, or let's take an average of 6 lakh to put up one court, I have 4 courts, so 24 lakh rupees. कितना पैसा मैं एक्चुअली में, अगर मेरे पास कम्युनिटी है और अगर मेरी बुकिंग्स जा रही है 100% पे भी नहीं, बट मैं कहता हूँ 90% कैपेसिटी पे मैं ऑपरेट कर रहा हूँ, मैं कितना पैसा एक्चुअली बना सकता हूँ?
करेक्ट. See, I'll tell you. Okay, let's say you have 4 courts. 24 lakhs is your capex. Now you have decided कि मैं एक बंदा हायर कर रहा हूँ या थोड़ी
2
सी
लोग हायर
maintenance
करो
कर रहा
जो
हूँ,
भी
ठीक है, मैंने 30 to 40,000 का
मंथली
OPEX
एक्सपेंस. हाँ
बजट बनाया
हाँ
कि ये इतना मेरा मंथली एक्सपेंस जा रहा है, ठीक है. Now let's say you have the community, you have everything, right, and you have your courts are operational 12 hours a day, right, and उसमें से let's say you have 50% booking, right, let's say 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day you are charging for, just for easy math, we'll take 1,000 rupees, right. That means you're earning 6,000 rupees a day,
yeah.
right. 36,000 rupees a day per court.
6,000 rupees a day per court, and we are talking about 4
4
courts.
courts.
So per day 10 दिन में 60,000 रुपये हो गया, 1,20,000 रुपये हो गया एक कोर्ट का.
एक कोर्ट का, so 6,000 per court,
हाँ.
right. 4 courts is 6 into 4, right, that's 24,000.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
So I'm making 24,000 a day.
And my expense monthly operation expense is only say
30
on a
to
higher side 50,000 also अगर ले
2
लेते
दिन में निकल गया, हाफ 50% operational capacity पे.
So the only thing is you need people to come. सब चल जाएगा.
Correct. So you need people, you need activations, you need, see there's going, like I said, the rate of supply is very high, right. So you need to see differentiating aspects. Now what we are doing is we are also going into facilities and be like, hey, look, like you are not able to optimize it, right, or you are struggling, so let us take it over. We'll take it over for
management
you.
of the facility.
We will take over the management of the facility, and we are giving them 2 options. Either you do a ref share with us. So a lot of people now are doing ref share because they understand that, look, we understand our market, right. There are some people who are like, okay यार मैं X कमा रहा हूँ, मेरे को आप X plus 10 दे दो और आप ले लो.
अच्छा, okay.
So we are doing that also.
Okay.
Right. So now we are getting into that model because see, all these facilities, and these are beautiful facilities, some of them which are not working, right. So the crazy aspect about it, it's only because of 2 to 3 reasons. One is that, you know, somewhere the little qualities of the court are off, right. Kahin paint chip hai, this and that. And see, right now pickleball consumer is a spoiled consumer, right. It's a high end consumer, so you have to provide that quality to somebody, right.
You still feel it's only a high-end consumer?
See, I think it's getting now, with the last 3 to 4 months, really, it's, you know, it's getting into penetrating into the mass participation. I think people have been playing, like there's kids from Jalgaon playing, there's kids from different parts, from median income families also playing. So people are playing.
Like I personally feel, I used to feel that, now I don't, that it's not only a rich people's sport. Like for example, golf. I always felt it's a rich man's sport.
Correct.
But with pickleball, that's what I felt.
Correct.
But I don't feel in terms of people playing,
Correct.
It's a rich people's sport. What I compare golf and pickleball, like similarity that I find is both sports are very good for networking.
Correct. See, I'll give you a perfect example on that one, right? Pickleball is the perfect blend of golf and cricket. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's the popularity of cricket with the prestige of golf.
That's true.
Right?
Rightly put.
So you think about pickleball, right? Now you have your premium facilities, right? So you'll have a decent, like a high level, more CEO, CXOs type crowd playing there. You know, then you have your facilities which priced lower, right? So you have people playing there, right? So like you rightly said, the sport, everybody is playing it, right? Right now, I personally feel the sport has a lot more growing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? I think that we are now getting there. The sport, as of this point, is now just started penetrating into the massy aspect. But still, I think at least for the next couple of months, it's going to be more prominent in the, HNI sort of
a certain strata of the society.
Correct.
I was thinking of an idea. मतलब मेरे को नहीं करना, बट मैं बस सोच रहा था कि ऐसी कोई पिकलबॉल फैसिलिटी हो जहाँ पे 10 कोर्ट्स है. There's a steam, there's a sauna, there's no gym, just like a steam, sauna, pickleball courts, maybe a cafe, nice bar where you can go and get your smoothies or maybe even beer. मेरे हिसाब से तो ऐसी जगह अगर दिल्ली में खुल जाए और अगर वो मेरे को मंथली मेंबरशिप भी चार्ज कर रहे हैं, and if it's central to my location, how people pay the gym, I would pay for that kind of a facility.
So that's I'll do 2 things about that. So one thing is, you are 100% right. Like the health and wellness industry, that now is supposedly the infra side of health and wellness industry is going over close to $1 trillion.
Oh my God.
Right? And exactly the model that you've said, the health and wellness club, pickleball club model, is absolutely going on a rampage in North America.
Yeah.
So if you have people like Lifetime, right, in the US that have now opened wellness clubs surrounded with pickleball, right? There's other entities coming up with the same concept where, look, it's about wellness, but they put in 2 pickleball courts because that will attract people.
Yes, exactly.
Right, but it's more about wellness. They have yoga, they have, you know, like a meditation, they have steam, they have sauna, they have smoothie bars, coffee bars, and stuff like that. Right, so that aspect is picking up very, very quickly. I think that we contemplated that aspect a lot, but I think it's more of a West concept right now.
Okay.
It is going to come here, right,
but not the right time.
I don't think it's the right time for that yet. I think the time is going to get there. But on the contrary, what needs to be done is the gym strategy, right? When I talk about gym strategy, it's a very cult-like strategy. Like now, it's like,
I get your point.
If I'm going to a gym, तो मेरे को पता है कि अगर मैं कल्ट का जिम जा रहा हूँ तो मेरे को क्या मिल रहा है, राइट? माई क्लासेस और दिस एंड दैट इज सॉर्टेड, माई टेक इज इन माई हैंड, आई गो एंड माई थिंग इज सॉर्टेड, राइट? आई डोंट हैव टू, you know, go here and there, think too much, right? Which
is what the consumer wants.
Correct. So that is what we are doing for pickleball. Okay. So essentially, part of what KOTHARI is that we are organizing that bit of your life.
Okay.
So when so in KOTHARI we are not going to have all facilities. So we are going to be picky, we are going to be choosy, and the people that also want to get on board with us as a venue will have to have that certain aspect that, look, but you know, a certain stature that you are providing to any customer that's coming in, right? Like if I come in, that, you know, look, my locker room is sorted, then when you come in, there's water there, then I come in, there's making sure a guy that's at the door,
basic facilities
are there, because a lot of facilities I feel are lacking there. You know, like we have amazing facilities, we have some amazing more clubs coming up, but the one thing where people lack is the experience, right? So for in the US, when I was my staff over there had one simple ingredient, supposedly, that we used to call it. That was our ingredient to make our club work, right? Was always have a smile on your face. Right? So we used
it's a very simple thing, but it adds so much.
So we used to call it the Walmart greeting.
Okay.
कि उनको ये था, including me, and you've known me for a while, so you would never see me angry, or you never see me mad.
Always must.
Correct. Because my whole thing is, look, whoever you are talking to, wherever you are, you find a way to spread joy.
Yeah.
You are going to be with the right people, you are going to do the right things. Everything in itself works out, You do the right things, you do, you know, my theory is very simple. You know, you keep your head down, you work, you be honest, things will work out. The least you can do is like make sure the other person around you is happy, right?
True.
So my staff in the US, like you would see when they came in, anybody, whether it was a member, a random person, whatever, they greeted them like they were the only people in the world, right? The sport is giving me that, right? Because when I play, or like when you play, right, now we have a huge group that we play with, right? We have like, at one point we have like 13-14 people on one court, because, right? But we are all having fun. It doesn't matter who's on court.
True.
We are all just 4 people are playing, 8 people are outside just chilling and having fun and talking. True. But we are having the times of our lives, right? But that's what the sport has done for us. So essentially, when we go into a place, when we go into a club, the aspect that is being created there, the environment that is being created there, the owner of the club needs to take the onus for that.
Yes. Okay. Very, बड़े अच्छे से आपने explain करा, I must say. Okay. Now coming to equipment. Paddles and balls, and now I was seeing this guy in a club, he's got a machine also. Correct. Pickleball, like you have those bowling machines. In terms of money, do you think there is more money to be made through courts or actually through equipment? Because why I say this is, I go to China a lot. Literally everyone I know at our courts is now buying their paddles from China, because it's literally like 20% the cost. And for example, if you get a paddle here for 20,000, वो आपको वहाँ पे 3-4 हज़ार का मिल जाएगा. और यहाँ पे लोग लाके उसी पैडल को 15-15 हज़ार का बेच रहे हैं. बॉल्स जो इतनी सस्ती मिल रही है उसको यहाँ पे बहुत बेच रहे हैं. तो व्हाट अबाउट दैट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द गेम, बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग.
करेक्ट. सी, आई थिंक इक्विपमेंट is a very, like you said, a very, very important aspect of the game. as a business, I am not very inclined in the equipment part. I'll tell you why. Is because, like you said, everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
And you know that this is what happened in the US as well. Or not, when US, I say US because that's where the sport is the most prominent today,
yeah.
right? But it's the same. It got too saturated very quickly because everybody saw it an opportunity. So everybody was like, हाँ यार मैं, like you said, मैं 1200-1300 रुपए का मेरा लैंडेड है, मैं इसको 10,000-15,000 में बेच दूंगा. Profit margin is huge, right? But what happens is now in the US, there's over 2,000 people that are trying to 2,000 brands that are central. 2,000 brands.
2,000 brands around pickleball. My God.
Trying to sell paddles, small paddle here, this, that, there. You know, so there's a lot of people, and all coming from all coming from like 4 to 6 manufacturers from China. So the winner here is really China.
That's true.
You know, because
not the consumer, not the brand, it's China that's making
China.
Most of the money.
So I think the market in India, look, a lot of people, I have a lot of dear friends who are doing, paddles. But again, the advice that I also give them is, look, even if you're doing paddles, don't keep your business limited to that. Because people are not going to buy your paddles because your paddle's good. Because every paddle is pretty much the same today, right? You can't differentiate in paddle, except you, like if you're a Eula, for example, right? Eula is one of the best companies in the world, right? And their paddles are really picking up, right? But they've also been in the pickleball industry for a long time. They've been in the sport industry for over 40 years.
Oh, okay.
Right, like they're one of the most prominent brands in table tennis. So they were huge, right? So they understand that market very well. For the people that are coming up and trying to get into pickleball, I don't think equipment is the way to go. I think it is going to be a short-lived business if you want to make quick money.
But equipment can be sold through these
online retailers.
No. Like through these courts. Like if you have a club,
100%.
If you sell paddles through that or equipment through that, then it's a good add-on in your margins.
See, it's a different distribution business on its own.
Exactly.
Right? So even same thing. Then what we recommend, part of what we do for brands when we work with brands, is that we connect them to venues because our business is connecting to venues. So we already have that outlook. But again, the thing is that a venue is not going to make the effort to sell your paddle.
Yeah, true.
Right? Unless you have an understanding with the venue that, look, this is how it's going to look, or you have your team that's going to do it. But somebody getting into this business, like I said, that today you have a venue, I come to you with a pickleball brand, you're like, okay dude, sell it, right? 10 days later somebody comes up to you with a better proposition. It is going to go in your head कि bro ये तो मेरे को as a
ज़्यादा margin दे रहा है ये मुझे,
because venue भी तो पैसे बना रहा है ना. Just as a brand, pickleball brand, equipment brand would make money, venue is also a business making money, right? So there, I just feel like there's a lot of competition that is going to be in this, which is, competition is healthy, but the saturation point in it will come very quickly. I feel that if, in it to make a quick buck, then 100%,
but not for the longer run.
Not for the longer haul. So that is one thing that, I will never get into. Is equipment.
Okay.
Every other part of pickleball sport, we will get into,
but not equipment. Okay. My last question, then we will move on to if there's something controversial that you want to talk about pickleball. Any opinion? My last question is, all these big players and big leagues, for example, like Arman Bhatia, where he's playing, or even at a high level, like Ben Johns and all these guys, Tyson McGuffin and all the kind of tournaments these guys are playing. What are like the grand slams of pickleball right now, like the main tournaments, and what kind of prize money are they giving, just for my understanding?
See, the prize money has really gone up. I think the prize money has really, this is where my controversial opinion comes in. I think the prize money is really a ego battle.
Is it?
I think even the smaller events are competing with each other. You have X facility, I have Y facility. I say, I'm going to give 50,000 rupees prize money. You're going to be like, I'm going to give 60. Then I'm going to be like, so I will try to outbid yourself.
Okay.
But that's what's happening on a larger scale also, I think which a lot of people might not like me for, but I think that's the truth. I think that, it has really become an ego battle. People are committing prize money of a lot, which, it's amazing for the sport, right? And it's amazing for the people that are playing the sport. But I just think that, look, if they're doing it from a perspective to create a monopoly, it doesn't make sense to me. Because for me that defeats the purpose of the sport, which is why I never got into the professional aspect of the sport, right? I always tended to stay away from it because, trust me, I had opportunities to get into leagues. I had opportunity to create these huge tournament IPs and this and that, especially because of the experience that I've had running these events, right? But that is one thing that I didn't want to ever get into, simply because, see, I think there's a lot of players in the market that are trying to create a monopoly, right? My theory of the sport is that, look, it's a massive sport. I want to cater to the 95% of the people that are playing the sport every day, not the 5% of the people that are going to compete in the pros, right? But to the leagues, there's some amazing stuff out there. There's amazing people doing amazing things. You have your PPA, like I tell you, like Connor's been doing this for a long time. He understands the market very well. As of now, I truly think they are the biggest ones out there. PPA.
And they hold different.
They hold different. They're coming into Asia now. They're doing some very exciting stuff.
Okay.
Duper is, I think, Duper's not a league, but Duper's probably one of the biggest entities in pickleball right now.
Is it like a rating agency?
Duper is the rating system of pickleball, right? You know, there's other rating systems like UTRP is one as well. UTR comes from tennis originally, and then they've sort of diverged into pickleball.
Okay.
But I do think, you know, like right now, both of them are quite prominent, but Duper, because Duper is specifically for pickleball and they came in at the right time, I think Duper has a sort of a competitive edge, and Duper's done very, very well, especially under the leadership of Tito, who's a very good friend of mine. So he's done fantastic with the company, really grown it, you know, in parts of India, Malaysia, different parts of the world. Duper has really picked up.
Okay. It's come out of the US only.
It's come out of the US, backed by Andre Agassi as well.
Oh,
he's the ambassador for that. Okay. And then we have our APP. APP also fantastic guys. Some of the best people you'll come across, really. Okay. There, I think there was a time where them and APP and PPA were like head to head battling against each other. I think that from a professional standpoint, PPA is winning. That aspect, I think PPA has really picked up and differentiated themselves in the broadcasting, and this is very, very cool with them. From a outside of the US perspective, I think there's a lot of different players in the market. You have your WPBL guys, which is World Pickleball League, done by Gaurav Natikar. And you know, they absolutely killed it with their first edition. The production, the broadcasting that they
he messes me, you know. Gaurav Natikar is the World Pickleball.
Yes.
Oh, so he had messaged me for a podcast actually.
Acha.
I'm talking almost a year back. That didn't happen because I think he's based out of Bombay. That couldn't have happened. Correct. Oh, I didn't know he is the one who is...
Correct. So, you know, they did a fantastic job. And we, you know, they are now coming up with the second edition, doing a lot of stuff. They've done very well. Then you have another guys called Global Sports. You know, headed by Hemal, Shashank and UV Ruya. And they've also knocked it out of the park. You know, I think from a community perspective and even from a pro aspect perspective and the engagement perspective, they've really done a fantastic job. I think with the sort of the outlook that they have on the sport is very similar to what we also have. You know, so they are creating the professional side of it and doing that, but they also believe in you know, the community aspect of it, and they have a very strong community in Bombay. So I think they've done very well on that front.
And what about the money? I asked you about the money also. Like, are these international tournaments paying the winners, say, maybe $500,000 or something like that? Has it reached?
I don't think that anybody is paying the winner $500,000. I think there's events that combinedly are worth $1 million plus.
Okay. Understood.
You know,
Total price
over multiple categories. Right? Because pickleball, unlike any other sport, like if you have a sort of Grand Slam of tennis, right? You have your set categories, right? You have a Grand Slam of pickleball, there's many more categories that go into it. Right? So that's there. Like, you know, we have in one of the homegrown brands out of Delhi is also PWR, and these guys did a fantastic job as well. They did a great event. But, you know, there's like I said, there's a lot more people doing a lot of things. Tomorrow there's going to be one more big guy coming in. He's going to be like, now I want to take over the league, right? Or I want to build a bigger league. So I think this competition is going to be there. But what again, coming back to it, I think the market segment is being created by the recreational. in this.
100%. Do you see big corporates jumping in?
Already, I think
Okay.
they already have been. Yeah, I mean, in the last 30 days, 30 to 40 days, we've done multiple events, but we've done corporate events with Google.
Oh, okay.
We've done corporate events with Schneider Electric.
Mhm.
Last year, I did a very cool event with the Discover Club.
Okay.
Now we are planning something with MasterCard.
Okay.
So the corporates are coming up here, and corporates understand that look, pickleball, and one of my mentors and somebody who's part of our company as well, Amarjeet Singh Batra, that you know very well,
Yeah.
right? He said something very interesting. He said pickleball is not just a sport,
Okay.
right? It is a learning experience. He said when you are playing doubles in pickleball, it is teaching you patience.
Yes,
Because you might be
definitely.
playing well, your partner's not playing well. Then you need to be patient. You need to
Dinking
be
too.
understanding. Dinking.
Dinking teaches you so much
So you are dinking. That is like who's going to outdink who.
Yeah.
Right? So his analogy of putting that with corporates became stuck in my head.
Yeah. Super.
Because
So true.
because he was like, look, that there is this aspect that completely correlates with team building.
Exactly. That's also the word that came in my mind. It's team building.
building.
Yeah.
Right?
So interesting.
Correct.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was there. Then we have a very cool advisor as well, Kapil Bharti.
Okay.
So Kapil Bharti is the CTO and co-founder of Delivery.
Oh, okay.
So he has been really helpful to us in terms of our tech aspect.
Oh.
Right? Because I mean, who better than him?
Yeah.
The guy who's created the largest
Tech,
logistics company in the country,
That's
right?
true,
So,
that's true.
so from his perspective, also, he understanding how the market works, what would the client need, how the user would operate. So at the end of the day, see, our whole strategy as part of KOTHARI, or me as an individual who loves pickleball, is look, how can I make the customer happy?
Yeah.
It's a very Amazon strategy. You have to think of the customer, right? And that customer ranges from, like I said, a tier 4 kid, a kid from tier 4 city in India, right? Who doesn't know pickleball, who might just want to make a buck out of pickleball. He should be able to use our software or our services or whatever we are providing easily, right? Similar to a guy in North America.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. Is there anything else that you have in your mind that you want to say?
Just one last thing, guys. If you haven't played pickleball, get out there and play pickleball. And Akhil might hate me for this, or like might not hate me, but he might give me a little shit for this. But go check out mykotli.com as well, where we're doing some exciting stuff.
We'll add the links in the description as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
But again, man, like first things first, let's play pickleball. Funnily enough, we're going to play pickleball
Right
after this podcast.
All right, man. Thank you so much for this conversation, and I hope people get to know more about the sport and start playing the sport, because it's been very transformative in my life.
Correct.
And I think many other people should also experience this sport and start playing it.
No, 100%. I mean, again, to anybody out there, if you just want to play, whatever you want to do, reach out to us, call us. We'll hook you up with people. We'll hook you up with venues, this, that. Our goal is just to make the sport grow. So,
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Good
Thanks,
conversation.
Akhil. Thank you.
Thank you.